self-portrait challenge. This is a challenge that I wrote about before in an art tip talking about painting and drawing self-portraits. But for this video, I want to tell you specifically how the challenge works. So what you have to do is paint a self-portrait using a mirror every day for 20 consecutive days. You can do it in the morning or at night or whenever it's easiest for you. Just make sure that you do a self-portrait every single day for 20 days straight. Ideally, you would be using oil paints, which is what I used for the ones that I'm going to be showing you. But if your budget doesn't allow for you to get all the materials you need, then you can use acrylics or watercolor or any kind of paint. If you're really limited, you could use pencils or charcoal pencils, but I really highly suggest that you try to get some type of paint to work with. To learn more about oil paints and all the materials that you need, I'm gonna link to my videos on oil painting materials and oil painting basics in the description below. For each of your portraits, you should be using a surface that is about 9 by 12. So like about the size of your head. I wouldn't go too much bigger or much smaller because it's unnecessary and it'll make it harder on you. So just stick with about 9 by 12 or 8.5 by 11. You can use canvas board, wood panels, whatever you prefer. It really depends on what you like. I personally like to use gessoed paper because it's cheaper and I don't mind having to prime the paper. So what I do is I'll take my sheet of paper and put 3 coats of gesso on it, but I will sand it down between each layer. So I'll put a coat of gesso on it, let it dry, sand it a little bit, and then put another coat, let it dry, sand it again, and then put another coat, let it dry, and sand it once more. So it is a little bit of work. I do it like an assembly line kind of thing. So I'll line up each of my papers and put a coat on one and then the next one and the next one and let those dry, and then just sort of, it makes it a lot easier to do it. It is very important that you use a mirror for this and not a picture. Using a picture can be a lot easier, but if you use a mirror, it is a lot more challenging and you learn a lot more than if you just use a picture. So really, if you're gonna do this, use a mirror. It's also very useful to use lighting in different ways. If your face is flooded with light and there's not a lot of shadows on your face when you're trying to paint yourself, it's probably going to be a lot harder for you to get a good drawing down before you start painting everything. I suggest that you play around with the light. I use this clamp light that I got from Home Depot, and it was pretty cheap, but you can use any kind of lamp that you have around your house. Make sure you have some shadows going on at least one side of your face. It'll make painting a self-portrait a lot easier for you. If you'd like some more lighting ideas, I will leave a link below to my setting up a still life video. As far as time goes, I would say spend at least 30 minutes on each one and no more than 2 hours, because by the 2-hour mark, you've probably already learned everything you were going to learn from that portrait. After a few days of doing this, you'll start getting that feeling when the painting is done. You'll just sort of know. I suggest that you label each of your portraits as you go along, as you finish each of them. Write the date and the day number on there. So day 1, day 2, day 3. It's really cool to be able to see your progress from beginning to end. So make sure you label them so you know which order they belong in. Here's the fun part, probably the part that everyone loves the most. I'll show you my first 20 self-portraits that I did for school. I used black and white for the first 2 days to get used to painting the face in general and start seeing the value gradations on my face. After the first 2 days, I used an old Masters palette, which you can find in my oil painting materials video. Look for the link down below. It is important to stick with this challenge and not skip any days because you want to use your momentum to get the most out of the challenge. I can promise you that you will feel extremely frustrated at times, but if you keep at it, you will improve a ton by the end of the 20 days. By day 15, I got bored of using the same color scheme, so I started experimenting with a few colors at a time. I used red, green, violet, and black. you can tell that there's a lot of improvement that can happen between day 1 and day 20. You should definitely experiment with different angles, different colors, all sorts of lighting. Just have fun with it and experiment, and you are gonna learn a ton. I'll show you a few more portraits that I made so you can see how much better I was even just after I did the first 20 self-portraits. These self-portraits were done the same year that I did the first 20 self-portraits, and you can see that these ones are already way better than the first ones I did. Then these paintings are from a year later. Challenge. Looking at all of these, you can tell that they look either a little or a lot different from each other, and that's totally fine. It's pretty impossible to get a perfect likeness when you're using a mirror because there's a lot of things going on, and it's very hard to keep yourself from moving even a tiny bit for 2 hours, so don't focus on getting a perfect likeness. The whole point of these portraits is learn how to paint a portrait, not necessarily a portrait of yourself, just a portrait. So as long as it looks like a portrait, that's all you need. Also, please don't focus on making yourself look pretty. That is such a waste of time, and it really it interferes with your learning completely. So try your best to not judge this painting based on how pretty or beautiful it is. Judge it more on how well you are portraying the shadows that you're seeing, the colors that you're seeing, the proportions, things like that. Try to make it as much of a learning experience as you can. You know that your first portraits are gonna be horrible. I mean, this looks like a worm. Your first portraits are all gonna suck. So just accept that and move on. Just finish the painting and move on. Go easy on yourself, have fun, experiment, and don't give up. I'll be making a tutorial on how to paint a self-portrait next week, or if you just can't wait to get started, you can use my tutorial on how to draw a self-portrait, which is very similar to the way I paint a self-portrait. So you can do that, and I'll leave a link below. And that's what the 20 self-portraits challenge is. I hope that I have encouraged you to take on this challenge and see how much you can improve in 20 days. I promise you, you will improve so much if you try this challenge. And I hope that you will try it. If you do, please show me your progress. I would love to see your progress. You can share them with me on any of my social media. All the links are going to be down below. I would be so excited to see your guys' progress. Just share them with me, don't be shy. Maybe after I post the tutorial on painting a self-portrait next week, I can start the challenge myself. If you're interested in doing the 20 self-portraits challenge along with me, just let me know. I would like to know how you feel about it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. That's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Goodbye!